I may not be floating in the Hudson River, but I am an island of mass destruction. I am Naomi Calhoun, here to talk about Survivor New York, Bannerman Island here on Silent Podcast. Joining me is the founder, the auteur behind Survivor New York. We have Chris Lord. How are you, Chris?
Some would also call me Jeffrey Probstfeld. If you know, you know. But I'm
If you know, you know.
great. And I'm so excited for this episode. This is going to be the best one yet of all time, I think. We have
Best
a
one yet
very
of all
special
time.
guest. Very excited. Hi, Kayla.
Kayla is here. How are you doing, Kayla?
I'm nervous, but I'm good.
We already have a lot of people tuning in, which I'm psyched about.
All of my fans are in the chat
all
already.
of your fans.
All of them.
Well, not all of them, because 2 of them are right here. We're
right.
so excited
True.
that we get to chat with you. Thank you for doing this. I think, first off, for anybody who is watching, maybe hasn't seen you in a while, are you doing okay? How are you doing?
I'm good. I've been reliving the trauma of Survivor New York. Other than that, well,
There you go. See, Survivor New York, just traumatic for everybody involved.
it truly
But, you
is.
know, I think it's one of these things where like some live reality games, like they happen and then the episodes are out 4 or 5 months later, and then it's like it's really over. Where I feel like, okay, you got to play the game, and about like a year and like 10 months have went by, or a year and a half have went by, so you got to like get back to normal, and then it like comes all back. So I feel like it's a little bit more rewarding to kind of like experience it on this type of way. Do you feel
Yeah.
like you're able to like process it a little, get some closure because time heals all wounds,
And then reopen
Yeah.
the wound that is
and then
Yeah.
reopen the wounds, and now like you could finally close it, I think.
That's what I thought, but honestly, I feel like it's opened them wider. But we also see each other pretty regularly, like all of us. So I feel like we've all talked it to death. But watching it is different because then you see what the people are actually saying. And sometimes it's not the same thing that they've said to you in person or in the game. So it's not nice.
I think that nobody kind of BS is quite like Survivor players, whether it's in, post-game interviews for real, for the $1 million, or in LRGs. Davey's here to say what we're all thinking, which is, Kayla, your hair looks so good. Hashtag Team Kayla.
Literally the first thing I said when I saw her.
So, Kayla, I want you to tell the story of how you stumbled across Survivor in New York and what made you want to endure this traumatic journey with us.
Okay, well, I'm scrolling the Twitter streets and I'm gonna get it wrong, and I feel like they're gonna be mad about this, but it was either Brian Scally or Brian Cohen that had liked one of your tweets about it, and I saw it and was like, why not? Applied. That was basically it. I was like, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. I love to compete, and so I applied, and you made me an alternate. So thank you for that.
I know.
Oh my
I
God,
know.
that's so funny. I remember your audition tape, I think, like very vividly. There's a few audition tapes I don't remember, but I really liked yours, and I remember, this is the truth. I remember Alex didn't like it.
Thank you.
Alex didn't like it, and that was why you weren't cast right off the bat.
Don't say it like that.
To be fair,
not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Just like there was, I guess, in his mind, better people, and he really advocated it. And then this girl dropped, and then you were there.
Wow, lucky me.
Just spilling the tea, because that's what we do here.
Right. What were you gonna say, Kayla, before I jump in to defend myself?
I didn't have an interview, which thank God, because that would have made me so nervous. I feel like I would have done worse. But Naomi said, oh, why don't you send a video? And then I didn't, because I was like, there's no way I can record a video of myself. Like I couldn't do it. Like I tried. I was like, this isn't happening. And then I was like walking home from work one day and I got another email from you like, are you going to send a video? And so I was like, okay. So I literally filmed it as I'm like walking home, like talking to myself in the camera. And I'm pretty sure I said like, this is a horrible video, but what are you going to do?
That's why I liked it. I think it was just so real. Like to have that confidence to just walk out in public and like film yourself, it really does take a lot of confidence. I feel like I would be
Yeah.
embarrassed to do that. So like that was like, oh, well, if she's gonna do that on the streets of New York, then I mean, like she could do anything, right?
Anything except win a game.
Except
Or be
Okay.
on the right side of a vote.
Well, I'm just glad, Chris, that you're here to correct history because as Kayla saw, I got a little heated after we had our watch party because Alex was saying that he wasn't against Kayla, and we're not trying to start another World War
Please
Survivor New
don't.
York,
I hope Alex isn't watching, honestly.
but I was Team Kayla. I've always been Team Kayla. And what I loved was we had somebody drop out, and I sent you an email, and I was like, "There's no way she's gonna want to do this. Like we didn't do the interview. We just asked her for a video, and then said maybe." And then as soon as I sent the email, you got back to me within like 5 minutes, or like I'll check the records. You got back to me so fast, and you were like, "Yes, I'm in. I'll be there." I was like,
I was at work and I freaked out. I was like checking my phone.
I was like, I can't wait to
out, and I like left. I like ran out and was like, oh my god.
That was the best.
Are you like a big Survivor fan, Kayla, or are you kind of like a little bit more newer?
No,
Like,
I mean,
what
I've
was your
watched
relationship?
I've watched it for a long time. Like since I was a kid, I watched it with my family, but my memory is such garbage. Like I could rewatch the same seasons over and over and be like the first time, but I have seen them all. But I don't know any of the trivia, like McKenna and Jordan, how they could just like tell you anything about any season. And it's like, no, sorry.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Don't talk to me. Yeah, it is
for
scary.
sure. Did you know anything about like live reality games before? This was like completely like your first like total like even like seeing and experiencing it, or did you like go on YouTube and like look some up? Like
No,
what was
and I
that relationship
swear, like a year or two before all this, like I had Googled like real Survivor games, like, you know, because I was like in a binging period. I was like watching a lot of Survivor. I was like, I'm gonna eat only rice and coconut. Like I want to do this, and I was like Googling like Survivor-esque things, and like nothing came up, which was crazy because then I stumble into this world and there's like hundreds of these things. But yeah, it was the first time I ever heard of it.
I really love that you took a chance. You got back to us in under an hour, which I thought was very impressive because some people straight up offered people an alternate spot in the season and they did not get back to us at all. And I remember being like, we just told you, like even a yes or no, but like some people just didn't say anything. Are we a cult? Asks Jordan Kalish. Yes, and we're always looking for new members. No, I'm so glad you did this, Caleb. And I think one of the things that I loved about the energy that you brought into the season is that you were good at puzzles and you fucking knew it. And I just wanted to ask a little bit about your puzzle practice. Like you find out you're going to participate. What preparation did you do thinking about doing this game?
No, truly, like none. I just am really always been like very good at puzzles. It's like my one skill that I have. But the only thing I had done was like done the slide puzzle app, which I mean, it doesn't happen, but I feel like it's a good thing for your brain to like kind of work out like patterns and how to find how to do certain things. But no, I didn't really do anything. I'm just amazing at them.
You're just smart at puzzles.
Although I don't think,
where does that come from?
What did I solve? One word puzzle. So am I really that?
No, you did. You were working on the first puzzle. No, never mind. That didn't happen. It was just a word puzzle.
You're fat though. I feel like you really I've been in that spot before too where I'm like, if I just get to a puzzle, I'll have a chance to shine, and you just don't get to the puzzle. And you're like, well,
yeah,
I would have shined but we'll talk about the challenge in this episode because I really think that your team had a pretty poor strategy and the other tribe had a better strategy overall, but there's certainly hints of like you knew what to do and then nobody listened. It's a curse. Let's talk about day 0. You get off the train. You're just kind of meeting everybody. Is there anything? I asked this to Talk, and I think he said no. Did you see anybody on the train who you later saw at Survivor? Like, did you catch anyone early on?
I was looking for sure. When I pulled up, I went from Grand Central, and when I pulled up to Harlem to like for the next stop, I saw Davy out the window, and like I had just watched like all the seasons, so I was like, oh my god, like that's cool. But no, I didn't notice anyone until we got off the train, and then there was a ton of people there. Yeah.
Everyone just swarms all at once.
There was so many of us. We took like multiple cars. And this is, I know, the hot question, because you put in this confessional, which I don't know why, but like the confessional of me saying, you know, Stan is my number one in this game because one, I'm a fool. But we had, after the train, we had driven the car together to get to Chris's Survivor world. And we had made a deal or whatever where he was playing me. I was a fool that was falling
Shut
for it.
up, Stan.
Wait, who was driving this car? That's the question.
I know
allowing you guys to
Haddock was in the car, but she wasn't driving. I don't know who else was there.
It's okay. Okay, so you get to the house, and like, what was like the interactions like with all these people, these strangers,
all these lunatics? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was nerve-wracking. Like, it's just a bunch of small talk, which is like the worst part of everything. Just like, hi, who are you? Where are you from? Like, how long have you been standing here on the deck, you know? That kind of thing. But as more people came, it became fun because then there was like other people to talk to. You could already kind of see people like chatting. Like, I want to say Laura and McKenna were there when I pulled up, or maybe Danny, and like those three really, like, I was like, they're definitely already working together. Like, you know, my mind started to really go crazy. I'm just chilling on the deck.
Yeah, and Kristen was there too, which is funny considering that three of them do end up on the same tribe. I don't think we really thought, it's funny, like, we spent all night sort of ironing out the tribes, and we never for 1 second went like, well, they all got here first. Like, it didn't cross our minds.
Yeah.
It happens. Is there anybody who you feel like you made a strong connection with who did not end up on the Ahsoka's tribe to start during day 0?
That's a good question. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. I think that first night, the two people I really like talked to the most was Laura and Brienne. And so I wanted them to be on my tribe. And at one point I even told Laura, like, we were just sitting around, like, you guys had said something, and then, you know, people were dispersing and talking, and she just was kind of like with me at every point. And at one point I was like, Laura, I think we need to separate. Like, we gotta part ways here, because like I'll catch up with you later. And that was before we were even like in a tribe, you know? So really just her and Brienne, those were like the two people that I talked to. And I think I kind of talked to talk, like I remember him, but to be honest, the whole situation is a bit of a blackout for me. I thought I really remembered it, but I think I just remember the feeling of it. You don't really remember what you say or who you're talking to or what you do.
Do you remember sleeping at night though? Like, everyone was saying like they remember remnants of that, like Stan snoring, this and that.
Apparently Ari got up to look for idols at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't know about any of that. I mean, there was a lot of us in the tent.
Yeah, McKenna says Laura asked you how you spelled your name when you first got there, which is very funny.
And a bunch of people just started laughing, and I was like, all right, well.
Not telling. Yeah, moving on. No, I feel like day 0, the big takeaway in my opinion of day 0 was the challenge. Now, you guys chose Braun, I believe, as well. The Iona tribe's the only one who chose Brain. Do you remember anything about like the challenge or how you felt? Because if I'm not mistaken, you and Brienne both made it to the end.
Laura and Brienne made it to the end.
Laura and Brienne, and then
they were like the first two to go, and right? I couldn't even. No, there was no way. I don't think I had any core strength. Like, you really have to balance. Like, that's a hard challenge. But I do remember that. Like, it was nice because we got put into tribes that night, and like the whole time you're like, who are we gonna work with? Like, let's get this thing going. So it was nice to get put into tribes that night, and then lose the first challenge. It was great. An unimportant challenge.
It's just it was just exactly. It was a reward.
Yeah.
And I just want to say the reason why that challenge was there was like a fun little thing, but on top of that, like in season 4, like Paddock had found the idol on the rice. So I wanted to sort of like trick everybody, and I have never said this before, but I wanted to trick everybody to think have them think that there was something in the food because the winning tribe got to pick all the food and divvy it up between the other tribes.
I remember
So I
that.
wanted them to think like, oh, there's gonna be an idol somewhere in here, and that's why
And
this one
I
ends up in the
did.
episode. Oh, did
Yes.
you?
This is what set up me and Talk as like a duo, because after the challenge, he took the crate and I was like, I had just seen there was a clue in the previous season. So I was like, I'm not letting that crate out of my sight. Like I am walking with it. And Talk took it and brought it to the tent. And so I followed him. And like then Sharif and Ed and Brian, whoever had told me later, like, oh, you and Talk ran off together after the challenge. And I was like, no, I was making sure he wasn't doing anything shady. So it worked. You got me.
Oh my god,
I wish that was on camera.
Survivor is such like a little bitch fest because it's just like the little things that people do where you're like, that's weird, and nobody can ever explain themselves. Everybody's just mad at each other for no real
And nobody
reason.
ever told me that until like after the game. So it's not like I could have even defended myself, you know?
No, but I think that the Esopus tribe is like sort of. I never wanted you guys to lose. I wanted you to win. I loved every single person on this tribe, and I'm sorry to the other two. I don't play favorites. I just happen to have them. And like when there kept being all of these moments of people not working with each other because there was either like a gap in communication or a gap in understanding. I was just always like it was just watching like a tragedy where you're just like, no, just be open about things, and it just fell apart amongst you guys. And I felt terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I
it
put you with a
did.
group of lunatics.
Yeah. How could you
I
stick
love
me with
that
them?
tribe.
I know I do
No,
too.
I love that
I
tribe
love
too.
all
Yeah.
I love all three tribes. Don't get me wrong, but there was just something really special about Esopus, and it's the smallest beach, but I liked your camp the best because it had like more of
Oh, beautiful.
a lookout point, and it was like the closest to Bannerman Island, and you could see it a little bit more vividly. So like just the whole essence of Esopus has a special place. Um, yeah, but it just like you guys didn't do well in challenges.
Yeah, pretty negative memories on that corner of the beach for me, but that's all right.
Okay. So something Laura brought up when she was here was that you were chosen as the tribe leader because you were good at puzzles, and you guys had thought that it was going to be like some sort of puzzle challenge. Is that true? And also, why did you
No.
choose Brienne?
Okay. So I actually took a note about this when I was listening to Laura's interview because I think that makes me look a lot better. I don't remember it that way at all. I kind of think I sort of volunteered myself. I don't know. And everyone just kind of went with it. That's my memory, but I guess maybe that could have been part of the discussion, but I don't know. And I chose Brienne because I really like wanted to work with her. Like I thought that would kind of like seal a deal between us and like she would know that I was like interested in working with her going forward. But obviously that fell apart pretty quickly. So
I like that you guys are like a tribe of misconnections. Like it just never
I think
works
so.
out for you
Yeah.
guys. So did you okay, we're breaking down if everybody thought that there was a fake challenge or not. Did you think that there was going to be a fake challenge when we told you to pick somebody for your tribe?
A fake challenge?
So we set up like tables on the beach to make
Oh,
it
I
seem
didn't
like you were
notice,
getting picked.
honestly.
All right. Mark that down
No.
on this side of the scoreboard. So Brienne gets sent. What did you like? Okay, I imagine as you're, I would say one of the bigger Survivor fans and just Survivor brains on this season. What did you think was happening with Brienne at your camp while she was away?
I think that I lost all my brain power when I went into this game, and I feel like that really plays out as I go through. But like I really thought I was going to be such this like strategic thinker going into this, and I don't remember thinking at all. Like I don't remember what I thought. I think we all just kind of talked about like, oh, she's going to have an advantage, or oh, she's going to have an idol, or like she's going to get something, and like we're going to find out what it is. But I guess maybe I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what I thought.
You're gonna find out, all right. Just not the way Brienne would like everyone to find out.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's kind of how it all played out. But go ahead.
when you went back to the camp and you seemed like very skeptical right from the get-go, just like Brienne's like body language and her explaining the story, and you were like, "Oh, let's start looking." Can you talk about like that whole scramble and Laura finding the twine, um, and just like that like early chaos
Yeah.
before the
So I
first
kind of
challenge?
like, obviously to the group as we're all standing there staring at her, she wasn't going to be able to tell the truth. But I thought like, okay, she's obviously lying. Like I'm sure we all thought like she's obviously not telling us the truth because she was just so like nervous. And then we were asking her like, can we see the clue? Can we see the clue? And she was like, oh, I didn't actually get a clue. Like I just read it. And we're just like, okay, what did it say? And she was like, something about a tree. And there's one tree at our camp. Like there's multiple trees, but there's one tree that's like, okay, obviously that's where the idol is going to be hiding. And so we all just start looking and looking and looking at nothing. And eventually kind of like it starts to peter out. We're like kind of sitting at the table chatting or whatever. And then at one point, Brienne was like, I'm gonna change my pants to shorts. It's getting hot, so I'm just gonna change over here. And like I'm watching her the whole time, and like I don't notice anything, but we're all just like, what are you doing? And then 2 minutes later, Laura finds the string in the spot next to the tree that it was found in the spot Brienne was changing. And then it kind of all picks up again because you see Laura like, I found the string.
This is Survivor string,
Pretty funny.
okay?
This is
Oh
Survivor
my
string.
god.
And it was. I mean, we had searched that specific area of ground, like all of us, at least 10 times. So there's no way the string was like missed. Like it was a new string, you know?
It's just like that the string chaos is so funny that like for season 7, I'm going to purposely hide Survivor string everywhere.
Yeah,
I
as
hope so.
producers, we're always looking to we're looking to outsmart the players. So first it
Mhm.
was hide an idol in the food, then it was pretend that there's food with an idol in it, and now we're going to hide string everywhere so people just think things are everywhere, which I think is great, Chris. And next year we'll just have a fake season where nobody's actually really playing Survivor, but they all think they're playing Survivor. Like
Love it.
out of control. So I there's a lot of lows in your journey, Kayla, but one of them is Talk getting voted out, which also has
Yeah.
somehow become a high with, I would say, your incredible facial expressions. Um,
Thank you.
what does it feel like to watch that back? Because I feel like you were really shocked in the moment, of course, but really shocked because you thought that Brienne would work with you, and it didn't play out.
No,
Or
I
wait,
thought
that
the
you thought Brienne would
boys.
work with you, and then you thought the boys would work with you, and nothing played
Yeah.
out.
So like in the first round when Laura went home, we were all kind of on, like we had all kind of talked about, like obviously Brienne is the obvious target here. You know, this was the story I was being fed. Brienne is the obvious target, but we're going to put votes on Laura, put votes on Brienne. Brienne will use her idol and Laura will go home, and then Brienne can go home next. That was kind of the story that I had with me. And so the first one happened, the vote happened, and Ed and Sharif were supposed to have voted Brienne, and they didn't. And afterwards, they were like coming up to me, and I was like, "You didn't do what you say you were gonna do." They're like, "Yeah, but we just like knew." And that's like I should have known at that point. Like, okay, I'm being
Kayla, I'm sorry
played.
to interrupt really quickly. I just wanted to ask, because this is sort of like an interesting topic that we brought up during the talk vote. When Brienne revealed she had the idol, did you have a vote that were you going to vote for Brienne, and when she revealed she had the idol, then you flipped your vote to Laura? Like what point
Oh
were you
yeah.
voting for Laura? Because
So
it seemed
me
like
and
you were going to do Ed or Brienne. Sorry, go ahead.
me and Talk were meant to vote Laura, and Sharif and Ed were meant to vote Brienne. That's what me and Talk kind of thought was happening, I believe. And the girls were going to vote for each other.
Brutal.
But yeah, it didn't happen. And then going into the second vote, like I still thought that Sharif, Ed, and Talk were working together. I really was like worried about that. And I went up to Talk at one point. I was like, I don't want this to be like a guys' domination thing. They're like, Talk was like, no, like I'd rather work with you and Brienne. So we were still trying to, I think, work that angle, but it wasn't like sticking. And like I think the Brienne idol drama from the first round had kind of poured over. So it was like, okay, so the four of us minus Brienne, we're going to vote Brienne, right? And it's going to be her. And it was just like, yep, said and done. Like, okay, that's it. So, like, I don't know. That's just what I thought was happening. And, like, I don't really know how I could have known differently.
I think it's really hard, and I kind of appreciate that our like the viewing audience doesn't say like how could they be so stupid or how could they not realize, because I do think that everybody did a really good job of sort of BSing you to the point where Brienne was unsure that she was safe. Like if you watch episode 2 back, Brienne is like they could be totally bullshitting me, but they aren't. And it just happened to come down on that side. What was like, do you have any memories of Talk getting voted out and how you felt? Because you're very mad at them. I thought it's a very hilarious like roller coaster of emotions that you're on. Do you remember any of those emotions?
I don't. Like, I think what really tripped me up was after the game, after we had done SBS, like the next month or two later, we had all met up, and Sharif and Ed and I were all at this bar, and we were chatting about the game. And it was like the first time we had seen each other, and they were just like, we all had a laugh, and they were just like, you were so upset after the Talk thing, like we just didn't know what to do, like you were so obviously upset. And like, so that's kind of like what I had thought over the last year, like, oh, I must have been so angry. Like I don't remember being like like I don't remember that at all, but watching it back, I was like laughing. Like, as much as I was upset, like, obviously I'm upset, like, I was kind of, like, living for the drama a little bit. So that was, like, a frustrating thing to have been, like, I felt like the narrative was that I was so upset and I stormed off and was, like, because they thought I, like, stormed off and went to the bus and was just like, I'm not talking to any of you guys. But really, I just had to pee and I went to the bathroom. But, like, I think they were freaking out because, like, they knew I leaved them, obviously, and then, you know.
I think it's so funny that you say that because it's like when you watch the show and you see like a big blindside or something, your mouth drops and you're like, "Oh my God, wow." So like when you're playing a Survivor game, like you kind of knew Laura was going home, so that's not really surprising. So Talk gets voted out and you really didn't think he was going home. So you had like a very real reaction, I think, that anybody getting to play this game for the first time would have. And I would have been like mouth dropped too. And you like there are other moments in the season that happens for sure. But that was like one of the best ones of all time. But that's why we used it like 4 times. Um,
I know. I'm sorry, Kayla. There was a moment where Chris was editing an episode, and I said, "Can we just put Kayla's face in one more time?"
I mean, I think it's great. Honestly, I expected
yeah.
to absolutely like hate watching myself, but I haven't. And I think it's been kind of fun. So
You
it's
found
all good.
yourself as entertaining as we all found you.
It was great. It was a good thing. Yeah. And everyone has been so kind in the comments to me. So that's nice. Even though I made a few mistakes, I was being kind of dumb. I think I was playing emotionally, like, especially after the Talk vote. Like, we went back to camp. And okay, I want to say this too. Like, we went back to camp and I was making a few comments here or there, like, you know, jokey digs at them. But I think they kind of took me a little more seriously than I meant to be. But I will say, like, there were times when I would go, like, the three of them would be talking and I would like go up to talk to them because there's no one else to talk to except for the camera people. Like, I couldn't talk to anyone else. So I would like go up to talk to them and like one person would leave and the next person would leave and then the third person would leave, and it would be like then all of a sudden they're on the other side of the camp talking and I'm over here by myself. So like there was at no point during the next 2 rounds when we won that, like, from my memory, and I did kind of black out, so like I don't know, they could correct me, but like there was no point of them coming to me to like, you know, fix anything or to like make me trust them. Like it was just obvious, like, oh, Kayla doesn't trust us, we can't trust her. And it's like, but I did trust you twice, and then you went against what you were going to say, and then you didn't ever come to me to try to fix that. Like, and I did. I went to each one of them. Like we saw my talk with Brienne, but I also had the same talk with Sharif and the same talk with Ed. And sure, that was just me, like, I don't know, trying to save myself moving forward. But like I did try something because it was like not a fun thing to have to sit there and be like alone at camp for the next like 4 hours, you know?
I think there is a reality where, you know, we know now that we had 4 pre-merge challenges. In season 4, we had 3, or I should say pre-swap challenges. So there's a world where they go down to 3 and then they go down to 2. And I think that you are a great person to utilize for the what happens if we have to go to 2 people. Now, it's a little tricky to do in that moment, but it wasn't out of the realms of possibilities. It was certainly something that could occur, which is why I like your style of Survivor, which is like, all right, we just had some conflict, let's talk about it, because otherwise it's just gonna fester. And you have to talk about it because we see what happens, which is you get swapped onto a tribe with Edsel and Sharif, and you have to talk about it. Otherwise, everyone else is just gonna like put a bunch of assumptions on how you're feeling. I think more than anything, I don't know how you feel, Chris, your sort of experience on Survivor has shown me how important it is to like be very clear with your feelings, but also that people will still impose their will and like thought process onto you no matter what. And sometimes it's like impossible to shake that, which is so strange that you can be like, yeah, this is how I feel. And everyone's like, I don't know.
I think I totally agree. And I think Kayla had a very like human, realistic approach. But in like Survivor, I think people are just so cutthroat minded that sometimes the human approach isn't like the logical thing in their minds.
I don't think my reaction was very strategic. Like, I don't think that I made the right call in like reacting that way, being like so obviously upset about it. But honestly, I couldn't do anything else. Like, I am not good at like lying or covering up how I feel. Like, I kind of always have just said what I think and stuff. And it is hard for me to like build relationships, especially like one-on-one when like I've just met these people. Like, that's a very difficult thing for me to do. And so like I don't know what to do but just be honest with them. And I mean, I don't know. Like I did play emotionally at that point.
I saw the three of them not talking to you in the way that it was like, you know what, we lost 2 challenges already. Most likely we're going to lose one of the next 2. So there's like, it almost kind of like they wrote you off. And that sucks. And that's horrible. It kind of reminds me of like Survivor Brain versus Brawn versus Beauty 2, where I think it was the blonde girl on the Brawn tribe. They just like kind of kept like pushing her to the side, and not really like giving her respect to her game.
Is that Alicia?
Yes, I'm thinking of her. Like I felt like Kayla had a similar journey like that, where they just kind of like pushed her to the side, didn't really respect her game. They thought at any point she's disposable. And I think that was the wrong approach. I think Kayla did the right thing by trying to go up to each one of them, and I feel like they made the mistake by not taking that to their advantage and maybe possibly using Kayla as a number, because she does have a vote and she would have had to vote for one of the 3 of them.
It's true. Not to mention, we'll talk about the swap in a second, but the swap. Kayla, you win the 3rd challenge and you win the 4th challenge. And I love your reactions in particular to both times when you win, because you are basically like Shawshank Redemption, like when he escapes the prison, like so excited.
Nothing feels better. Like even to this day, like winning a challenge is the best feeling in the world. Like it's so fun.
It really is. I gotta tell
you.
That was great. You were very excited. I love that excitement.
Was excited.
It's good that you have a 1-syllable name, Chris. If it was like Christopher, that would take so long to call over,
So annoying. Yeah.
Jeffrey Probstfeld, that would take forever. But it's easy. I know. So getting to show your victory at puzzles. Now listen, it was granted a word puzzle that was the name of the season and on your buffs.
Very
so
easy.
Honestly,
and I still was like,
yeah, like the numbers flying. How did it feel to win a puzzle? I think particularly you and I are similar in that, we're like, hey, I'm good at puzzles. And then it's like, show your stuff or else. So how did it feel to get to that point?
I mean, it felt nice. It feels really good to be the one to win it. Like it's definitely a team effort in the challenge, but to be like the one to finish the thing is a very fun feeling. Mm-hmm. Plus we were like very ahead, like in the word puzzle. Mm-hmm. Like I had gotten all of my tiles out before anyone was like finished unlocking. So
how do you feel about Jeremy cheating off of your answer?
I don't even care. Everyone was like, Kayla, you should have wiped the puzzle off the table. I wasn't thinking about that. Now I'll think about it. But
why would you? Yeah.
No, I was like so excited. Just excited. Yeah. But I don't care. Whatever. They both deserve to go to tribal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in retrospect, is there a tribe that you wish had got? Do you wish you had maybe helped the purple tribe lose, or you just didn't care?
No, I didn't care. Well, I didn't.
So
There was no reason to care. Like, I was only thinking about myself.
Totally reasonable. So I also wanted to ask really quickly about the decision. Well, the two Bannerman Island decisions that I think really affect you. You get given safety at the Second Tribal Council, and you kidnap Stan in the. Well, actually, you also give an extra vote to Robin, but you kidnap Stan in the 4th round. So I just wanted to talk to you about Bannerman Island and like, what did the powers that you were given like mean to you, and how did your survivor brain work around them? And hey, here's this extra shit in the game. How did you go about thinking about them?
I mean, it's fun, like, as a fan of Survivor, to like have something to read or have some sort of like advantage. And like, for being saved, I mean, like, we all knew it was going to be me because I was like the weakest, which is really fucking annoying, but I was.
Yeah.
And it was nice because I would have been going at that point. Like, it would have been me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know McKenna at that point, so.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, Mark, we saw Survivor Brooklyn South 4, so you should be a little bit nicer than just Queen. I'll say it. I'm just kidding.
But I mean, it was nice being saved because it meant I got to stay in the game, but it also, I don't know. And as far as the stealing Stan, like, I still at that point thought like, oh, I'm going to be working with Stan in the future, but so did, I guess, everyone else on my tribe. So, I mean, it didn't really matter. I did have to chase Stan down because we're all just standing in groups, and like, I was trying to get to have like a one-on-one conversation with him, and like, he went to the bathroom at one point, and I pretended I was like going to the bathroom. Like 10 minutes later, I was like following him and tracked him down to have a chat. But like, I don't know if those really had much effect on, I mean, being saved was nice, but like stealing Stan, I don't know if it really like affected my game at all. I don't know. Everyone was like on board with saving Stan.
I do want to ask you about probably my favorite scene that involved you, which is a conversation you had with Sharif and him explaining the plan A and the plan B. You were very quick to catch him on that, and he was very, like, he let that slip. Yeah. How was that, like, watching it back? Did you remember that happening?
No, I had zero idea that happened. I just thought, me with the wit, I was so fast, I'm funny. It was great. I don't know. I thought that was a great scene. I literally watched it 100 times, and then I messaged Sharif and was like, this is killing me. This is so funny. And it was funny. I mean, it's a great scene.
I laughed out loud for like a good 10 minutes watching that cut. I've just never seen, because Sharif is so fun to watch play Survivor, but it's because he's always talking in a way where nobody can really catch up to him, and then you immediately caught him. You're like, wait, hang on, like, let's pause for a second. And it's really fucking funny, and
it is funny, and Brienne is like cracking up in the background. Like, it's a good clip.
I just want to say thank you to Liska and Louie, who were the Ahsoka's Tribe filmers, because I think the Ahsoka's Tribe content is like top tier.
I feel like I had so many funny lines and you guys didn't use them.
That's Chris.
I used as much as I could.
Okay.
I mean, I could go back and send you all of them. We could do like a super cut.
Yeah, we could do a Kayla cut if you want, just all of your highlights.
Yes, we should do that.
We could. Can I tell you, I've been trying to learn how to make fan cams for so long, but because I'm not like 14, I don't understand how. And I think you have to pay for an app, and I almost want to make a fan cam of every player. Just
maybe
as, like,
I'm old, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
You ever see like the pink glitter, and like it'll be like for a K-pop star, or like I'll send you some fan cams. Okay.
Okay. Please.
I'm sure there's like a Kim Petras fan cam out there, Chris.
Okay, there probably is, because I think I just saw one today.
Well, we saw shit tree mail. Survivor New York for our TikTok exclusive scenes, but shit tree mail killed me.
You know what's so funny? It's like I was just scrolling through like all these random videos, like, okay, I use this. What did I not use that I could put in here? And then I found that, and I never watched it, and I cracked up, and it's like, you're like, please don't use this. And like Liska's like laughing her ass off. And I was like, this is cute. Like, and it looked like it actually came from the tree. So I was like, I'm posting it on TikTok. And then it got like the most hits of any TikTok so far. So I was like, you know what?
Great.
This is Queen Kayla's camp, basically.
Yep. We're all just living in it. Well, let's talk about the swap, shall we?
Let's do it.
I remember feeling so terrible for you and McKenna in particular in this swap, because obviously McKenna is the only person from the Polypel tribe on this new swap tribe, which is the Polypel tribe. I do love when somebody's the only person from their tribe. So Brienne is the only person on Asopus to stay on Asopus, and McKenna's the only person on Polypel to stay on Polypel. And I felt bad for you because if you were just with one of them, it would have been fine. But the two of them was brutal. How did you read your first impression of the tribe that you were on?
Well, I had a conversation with both of them. Like, if we go to the swap, like, we're going to work together at least until we like make it to the merge or whatever. And then as soon as it happened, I was like, there's just no way. Like, there's no way they are not going to like fully try to get all the votes on me. Mm-hmm. So once we got back to the camp, like, I didn't even speak to them and for a while. Like, I just started talking to everybody else. And the time was so limited. Like, at this point, like, we had just met. This was the biggest tribe we have been on. We've just like gotten together, and the dynamics were tough because there was like a swing vote. So the time was short and it was difficult. Like, it was difficult to get around to talk to everybody, to like make a plan. And I tried to really work it with Veronica and Julia, and so many times they would literally not even try to be like sly about it. They would just walk away from me. Like, so many conversations, like to talk to each other or to talk to Annie or whatever. And watching it back was nice because I got to see Veronica basically like trying to be like, yeah, okay, we're going to do this girls thing. But Julia's plan was the winner. So, and I really didn't think that there was any chance Sharif and Ed weren't going to write my name. I thought for sure they're voting against me. And somebody, I think McKenna, right at the beginning, I was like freaking out. I'm like, they're gonna want to vote for me. And she was like, yeah, they're already saying your name. So I was like, what are you gonna do?
What did you think about Julia saying the reason why we should go for Kayla is because you did not give her the information that she asked you about, which was you giving Robin the extra vote? Was that what you remember? Oh, you don't.
I even messaged McKenna about this because I was like, I don't even remember. She was like, you weren't like giving us any information. I was like, I don't know why I would like keep that a secret. I don't think like it really mattered, but I guess it did. Which I guess was like a bad move. But I also think she was in an alliance with other people that were there. And like, I think maybe me being the one to be like so firm against them, it was like easy for her to just like find the crack and like go for it. I don't know. But something funny, like throughout all of that, like I basically was saying, I'm not going to vote for them. And then before we go to the bus to go back to Tribal, Liska is like filming me. And she was like, is there any chance like you're going to vote with Blue? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not voting with them. We're walking to the bus and McKenna comes up to me and is like, we're like on ice. We're not supposed to be talking. And she's like,
not supposed to be talking.
She's like, Blue strong? And I was like, no. Like, I just walked away because I was just like, no, I'm not voting with them. And like, I'm so dumb because I was playing so emotional. Like, I'm just so dumb for not like taking that as like, oh, she like actually wants to vote with me. Because if I had said yes, we all would have written Annie's name down and it would have been fine. But I don't know. I was convinced.
In your own defense, I think that it's very hard to swap onto a new tribe, see the sort of layout before you and say, okay, I could eliminate two people who just voted against me 3 times or 2 times in a row and blindsided me and never told me the truth once. Or I could work with them just because we're together and work with all these new people who are giving me things like, let's do a girls alliance, let's protect each other. And I think it can be very hard to know which direction is right. And funny enough, I think there's totally a world where you go, yeah, Sharif and Ansel, I'll vote with you, and then they vote you out. You know what I mean? Like there's that world totally exists. And it just so happens that they're like actually nice enough people where they wouldn't do that to you, but like it's not a possibility.
But maybe they would have had I not had like a conversation with them ahead of time, like, oh, going to the swap, we're going to work together, And they seemed to like, because we did have a conversation at some point where I was like, yeah, I'm with you 100%. And like, I think there was a confessional of like maybe Sharif who seemed to be like, I think she is going to like vote with us, So, but I just didn't know. Like, it's so hard in that moment to like really, maybe some people really knew what was going on, but I definitely didn't. Like, I had no clue. And I was getting like from Veronica and everybody like that they were going to vote Ed. So I don't know.
At what point did you like say, okay, it's definitely me? Was it like the third vote that came up, or?
I think it was my Ed vote. Or maybe it was like the second Caleb vote. I think you see it in my face at some point. I'm like,
So
and
it was a blindside. You didn't seem mad.
Yeah, I did kind of know. I think there's definitely a possibility it was going to be me. I wasn't mad about it. Like I kind of, even at that point, I think in my exit interview thing, I was like, I still thought the boys voted against me. So I really had no clue what had just happened, I guess.
I wanted to ask a little bit about the Veronica of it all, because I found watching this episode to be the way that Veronica and Julia like are both driving a bus and both have their hands on the wheel but are pulling in completely opposite directions and yet somehow never break apart is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how you feel watching this back and seeing essentially what you were going through, but like you're sort of at the helm, not that you're at the mercy of what they want to do. And I kind of want to talk about Veronica in particular. Did you buy it at the time and all that stuff?
I think I believed her, but like watching that back, I was such a fan of Veronica trying to root for me to pull me in as a number. But it was interesting to see them both like have such a real conversation with each other where they're both like, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then, I mean, we see in the end, Julia wins. I'm not sure like why Veronica decided to go with Julia at the end. Maybe Julia was just so firm and like, I'm not doing it. And Veronica was kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter as long as it's not one of us.
I will say, I don't know if I edited it out because I probably have like 10 versions of every episode. So I'm sorry, I'm like really tired from Survivor New York type stuff. But I do remember in the edit that the girls had said, we didn't do well on the challenge. It was a memory challenge. Think about the future challenges. If we vote out one of these boys now, it's going to be 5 girls and 1 guy. And the next challenge is most likely going to be a physical one because it was a memory challenge. So I think that was their thought process in voting for you, was that they would need the 2 guys in order to win the next challenge.
Yeah, which is so annoying. Like actually the most annoying thing in this game in Survivor, like men just have an advantage. And Sharif is not like, he did not perform in any of the challenges. I'm sorry, but he didn't. Like he didn't do particularly well at anything. But because he's like
he didn't get a grapple. Who's the only person who got a grapple? Laura.
But because he's like this big guy, it's like, oh, well, he's good at challenges. And it's like,
what's funny? I think when digging, Ed got more pieces than Sharif did.
I saw the bag before Sharif did, and I was screaming at him from the other side of the hill, turn around. And he couldn't turn around. It was like, it was so frustrating. And like, I think he's almost at like a disadvantage because of his height. Like in the one where we were like holding the ball on the platform that we eventually were like down here, but like on that one, like he has said like, you were so mad at me during the challenge. I was like, I was mad at you because like I think his height difference from the rest of us like really didn't work because he couldn't quite like see it. But it was like, it is frustrating because I think Andrea just said it in the recap, like in this LRG world, you don't need these like massive like hero men to like come in and like win these challenges. Like you just need someone who can run across the beach, solve a puzzle, and maybe like throw some things. So it is frustrating that that's the reason.
Can I tell you, the whole time you were talking, I was just about to say something that would literally spoil next week's episode. And I was like, wait, hold that back. But I think in particular, this memory challenge is something that you were pretty good at. You got a lot of pieces. It's funny, I kind of cut it out, but here's what happens in the first moments. Veronica runs out to the board, looks at it, runs back, doesn't remember a thing, and then it's like, oh, I'll go back out. And that's not how the game works. You have to go around. So Veronica gets absolutely nothing in the first round of this, while Stan gets everybody out on the right foot. And I think that's just very symbolic of how the challenge went. I think you and Edsel pulled a lot of weight, but like, I don't think you and Edsel are too different in height. I imagine that you can probably lift a certain amount of weight. So at a certain point, like, where does the athleticism really come in? I think the only way that athleticism really plays a factor is like running in some instances, but very rarely.
Yeah.
Also, as Alex says, tall people always have a huge disadvantage. Yeah.
Whatever.
They just keep getting asked back to be on seasons. It's kind of crazy.
That's coming from somebody who won an immunity challenge that was only because he was tall. So it's kind of ironic.
Oh, the great
that he
bucket
would
gate
say
of
that.
season 2.
But
Kayla,
that is such a good challenge. The memory board challenge is so difficult because I even saw like at the end, like when they had one in our boards, I think we're like side by side, like there were 2 bunnies at the bottom that were like wrong on our board, which is the row that everybody is so sure of because it's the easiest row. So everybody does it and they're like, no, this is it. And it's not. And then you're like looking at the same pieces over and over. It's a really hard challenge, but it's a great one.
It is, and it's very particular. It I was editing this episode and I was editing the challenge, and I had been circling what was wrong, and then I was looking at the 2 side by side and I was like, but they're right, but there's so much more video left. Should we let them go when they were right? And no, the video is then cuts off. It's like Chris saying, I just recorded for a really long time, but I was like, no, I think I'm totally right. I was worried that we had fucked up. But I want to get your opinion, Kayla, on a couple of things, on the Alex advantage and the advantage menu that Robin found in their sandwich. Do you think that having Alex there to chit chat with, to be a sounding board, would have been beneficial for you? Would you have thought of that as something you wanted to do?
Yeah, maybe I would have been able to use that. I don't know, actually. I feel like it can't hurt to have somebody that you can actually talk your game out to. But I don't know if he's really giving sound advice. Like, is he really allowed to give sound advice? Being like someone who's like watching the game fold out. I don't know, but I think it's a cool advantage. And I honestly didn't see the sandwich scene, so I don't know what happened.
Robin gave their advantage to Stan. Once again, you are not the only one who has Stan as their number 1.
Yeah. What was Robin, the advantage to Stan?
So the advantage menu consisted of, Chris, will you remind us what was on the advantage menu?
Yeah, so you could either mutiny from your tribe.
I thought you said mute me from your tribe, and I was like, people want to mute me?
Mutiny from your tribe. If you no longer want to be with that tribe, you can leave.
Whoa.
The other one was a 50-50 shot of getting an extra vote. There really is no loss. It's just a 50-50 shot. And then the last one was an immunity share. So if you had one individual immunity, you could share it with a +1.
Oh, that's cool.
And they chose the +1.
Yeah, Robin chose to give their advantage to Stan so that Stan could win the immunity and give it to Robin. So that's available down the line for them. But it's only valid in the post-merge, right, Chris? So it's not really relevant right now.
Right.
Alex says, I would have encouraged an all-girls alliance.
I just want to say, with Alex joining the reward, he is briefed, he can't give things away. He's there to really just help as a fan of the game, and he never crosses the line.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah, there's nothing.
And it's really like a therapeutic moment for you to be able to talk to somebody about the game that understands the game, and to just kind of reflect with. because like producers can't do that, the camera people can't do that, and you don't know who to really trust inside of the game. So it's just like that more therapeutic moment to have when you're kind of like under so much stress and chaos throughout the day. And I think if you had gotten that reward, Kayla, I think you would have ended up winning the whole game.
I don't know about that.
I really love, there's also like, there's so many funny moments that I think people should watch back in that scene. Kristen is like, oh, it's going to be like Alex or something, which is hilarious. Alex shows up 2 seconds later. Jeremy calls Stan a Michelle Fitzgerald. And then someone goes, well, Michelle Fitzgerald won. And Jeremy goes, never mind, I didn't say that. And then of course, Alex says, the last person who spoke to me won the game. And then immediately everybody's like, oh yeah, Alex, I'll talk to you. There's also a moment that I want to point out, which is Danny talks about how he wishes he had participated in the digging immunity challenge. And Ari found all 3 pieces. So if he's trying to say that he wishes he had participated instead of Ari pulled all the weight. I'm so sorry to Andy, beloved Andy, but Ari pulled all the weight. So I don't want to hear any disrespect for Ari Ferrari. He did his job. And he did it well.
Danny was also funny when he was like to Alex, "Are you going to tell other people about our conversation?" And Kristen's like, "Obviously not." Like it was just too cute and too funny. Like Danny is just like always on. Like he's just 100% giving everything all the time.
Yeah. Well, Chris, are there other moments Chris, you've watched this footage so much and I feel like you know it really well. What else should we talk about in the scenes of poor Kayla fighting for her life?
I mean, I really do love the conversation with Kayla and Brienne on the rocks. First of all,
oh yeah,
the scene is beautiful. Like it's a great little place to have that conversation. And it was like this mixture of good and cringy. Like Brand is basically like, you did come for me, so like you can understand my hesitation to want to work with you, but like I'm all for keeping every possibility in my game. So I am willing to work with you, but I'm gonna keep you at arm's length. And like your conversation finishes, you look to see her walk off, and you get up, spin around, and be like, I'm fighting for my life.
I'm desperately fighting for my life.
Desperately fighting for my life.
Potential episode title.
And when I get the opportunity, if I ever get the opportunity to screw these guys over, I totally will in a heartbeat. And I love that.
Well, I had just talked to Sharif and Ed and Brienne, and it was like it felt like an hour. I felt like I just blah, 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 for like so long. So at that point, I was just like, the camera was on me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what to do. And I guess at that point, Brienne and I were sitting on top of the idol, which I thought they had it, and they thought I had it.
It's true. The idol is like right there. It doesn't make the edit because nobody finds it, which I think is really
funny. So much time on those dang rocks, and like I looked, I was fake looking for an idol. Didn't actually see it, but I was fake looking.
Yeah. It's just incredible stuff.
I regret you guys like not finding it. Like the goal is always for people to have idols, right? So like for you guys to use the idol in the first episode and go through 3 rounds and not find it, that sucked. Like in a production sort of side. So like I wish we had like, okay, they didn't find it this round, let's move it again. Let's make it a little bit more obvious. Because I think that would have been like really crazy if you had found it, especially. But they were like sort of convinced that you did find it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone stopped, because they all assumed somebody else had it. But what's interesting is that
our tribe was so small, like there was only so many places to look. So we weren't looking very hard, I guess. I don't know.
But in the swap, it never got brought up. They thought you had it, you thought they had it, but it was never mentioned once that like, oh, do you have an idol? Like maybe we should use an idol, this or that. It was just like assumed, I guess, that you really didn't have anything, or maybe Brienne had it.
Yeah, I don't even remember thinking about it at that point, like if they might have had it or not. I thought Brienne had it, I think, so I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, it's funny in retrospect. Sharif seems like so sure that you have it. It's very weird. Like you definitely don't, and you're not playing like maybe you're bluffing or double bluffing. You're just being natural, and he's like, she's totally got it. hands down.
All my scenes with Sharif are great.
I wanted to ask you a little bit, Kayla, about Annie, because Annie is the person who Sharif and Edsel write down. And McKenna says, I did aid in the Kayla name on parchment because I knew Ed, but I was voting with Blue, so it didn't matter until the walking to the bus ordeal, as you mentioned earlier. So talk to me about like your socializing with Annie, and did you really want to vote her out? Things, that sort of whole question of, would you have voted out Annie happily?
I think Julia and Veronica are such strong players that it just felt like Annie was the obvious choice on that side. I don't really know like why we landed on Annie, and I was never planning to vote with that plan, so I don't really know. I just felt like it just felt like Annie was the obvious vote.
So, Kayla, before we went on this live, I saw your little notebook of notes. Is there anything in your little notebook or big notebook that you wanted to discuss with us?
Oh yeah.
Because I love the note taking. I think that is super cute.
I feel like I've mostly talked about everything.
Any more grievances to air?
I don't know. I guess that's it. I don't know. I feel like I've talked about everything I've wanted to say.
Oh, wait. Okay. So when Ari was here, he said that, I think he said he saw McKenna on the street. Were you also with McKenna that day? And like you guys all hung out?
McKenna was walking to my apartment door. And like I opened the door and was like looking outside, and I could see her across the corner. And then she like stopped and talked to somebody, and I was like, who is she talking to? And then they both started walking up, and I was like, what the heck? But he like walks the street every day, so it's funny.
That's really funny.
So funny.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's so random.
So I know.
Kayla, you actually are I've teased it before, Andrew talked about it a little bit. You are actually the second person who chose to stay the entire rest of the game and help, which I always loved about you and Andrew, is that you were people who were like, don't worry, I'm still here. Was that a fun experience sitting through a hurricane with the rest of us?
Honestly, I don't even remember the rain. Like, there's no part of me that wanted to like go home. Like, I like honestly kind of feel like watching it all play out is way more fun. Like being able to like listen in to people's confessionals and like ask production like who has this, what's going on, and like listening to tribals and stuff is so much fun when there's not pressure of the game.
Yeah. I just want to say a big comment from Isaiah, aka the man behind Silent Podcast, who drafted you in our preseason draft. Says you were fun, and Isaiah has very discerning taste, I would say, and so for him to draft you, and
it's an honor.
Something special. It is. And Alex says it was so fun watching Kayla this season. I couldn't agree more, Alex. That's why I wanted her on the season.
Alex.
Would she ever come back? Kayla, would you ever try this again?
I would consider it.
Think about it?
I would think
just
about it.
Just a little bit? Oh.
Okay. All right.
You would have to really beg me.
Yeah. The fans need to know, you know what I mean?
That's funny. You guys are really funny.
McKenna says, I begged to differ. As I was leaving, I asked for a ride to the train.
That is true. I forgot about that. But McKenna told me no. Because I was like, I want to stay a little longer. And she was like, well, the raid is coming. I want to get home. I was like,
Well, I just wanted to ask just one more thing, Kayla. If you have a favorite person. Oh, wait, I can tell the story now. Is that you wanted to give Talk his windbreaker and the note. That was do you remember this? That you like wrote Talk a note? And I was like, well, I have his windbreaker.
Talk wrote me a note.
Oh, he wrote you a note? Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, I got it reversed.
You showed me. I don't know anything about a windbreaker. I'm sorry.
Oh, that was me. I had to give Talk his windbreaker.
Oh, okay.
That was the thing, is that like Talk gave me something and then I had to get him something. I thought that note was so cute. I loved that you were like, yeah, it was such a moment.
Yeah, that was nice because we didn't get to talk. Like I saw, also a really cute Laura moment. I saw Laura and him sitting, like as we left Tribal, after talk was out, they were sitting and we were leaving. She looks at me and she was like, win something. After I voted you out, and she's still like, come on, do something.
That's so funny.
I
love that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
Yeah, I guess, Kayla, do you have a favorite person that, or like people you met from this experience?
I was just about to ask that question because I see you're like super close to a lot of people on social media. So like, did you like, who did you meet from this experience?
I mean, McKenna has definitely become one of my closest friends, as with Emily Paddock, who was in production. I mean, everybody like genuinely is so wonderful. Even the Esopus tribe, I would say, they're still good people. I've really enjoyed getting to know everybody, and I'm very thankful for this because I did get to meet all these cool things, and like we go to like Survivor watch parties and stuff, and like it's just fun. It's a fun time. It's such a good cast of people. I think we all get along well.
Kayla, I actually have a sort of another question. Would you actually ever go on Real Survivor? Maybe is that something you've ever thought about or wanted to do, or Big Brother? Since I know you have your Big Brother alt account.
I know I'm so over Big Brother, to be honest. I would do Survivor, but I don't know if I would. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I have never applied or thought about applying.
Okay.
Sometimes at like 1 a.m. when I'm like up too late watching TV, I'm like, I should apply. But
Okay. I think you should. Personally, I think everyone who I cast should go on Survivor because, you know, it's good. This cast is just survived. Chris, anything else you want to talk about right now?
Well, apparently there is a watch party. I don't know. That's the thing I just saw. There's a watch party first at St. Pat's.
Hot goss news on the street.
From Jordan Kalish. There's a episode 7 viewing party next Friday in New York City at 6:30. So that's fun.
2:10. Yes, that'll be really fun. St. Pat's is on what, like 46 between 6th and 7th, 6th and 5th. Join us for an evening of watching Survivor New York on the 3rd floor. It's a lot of fun.
And you can meet the cast and take pictures. Meet and greet style, you know.
Yes. Come on, fans. Come see me.
Kayla's great. She does give autographs.
Yeah, you just have to buy the merch first, and then Kayla will autograph it for you and take a picture with you. So it's okay.
There's a cover at the door. It goes directly to my pocket.
Love it.
I want to say thank you guys. This is seriously, you guys put on such a fun game, and it is actually such a good experience. I feel like it's changed me in a lot of ways. Like you learn so much about yourself, and I just appreciate all the work you guys put into it. It's very fun.
Of course.
We're very happy to have you. It's been an entertaining ride. You keep me laughing. So it's kind of devastating to lose you. I got to be honest. Nobody's quite as funny.
Yeah. The viewer count is going to go down.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. Slamming their laptop shut. They're so furious. Amazing. Well, I just want to tell everybody who's tuning in, if you don't already know, and actually it's so funny, I put it like all in the description. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. No, that's me. I'm on Twitter. But we're on TikTok, and you should subscribe to us on YouTube and leave a comment. Like the video, let us know what you think. Comment on this video. Thank you to everybody who supports Silent Podcast, supports Survivor New York through Silent Podcasts, including our wonderful moderator, Valencia, who's always logged on to listen to a recap and an exit interview. I'm so happy people are listening. It means the world to all of us. Kayla, you are so wonderful. Thank you for being here. All the Kayla stands, you know what to do. The next episode, I comment, where is Kayla? Where is Kayla? We'll get her back one day. But guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening and watching, everyone. Have a great rest of whatever time of day it is for you. Goodbye.